In the frigid northern reaches of Skyrim, against the ice-covered banks of the Sea of Ghost, lies a barrow dug into the side of a once great ancient Nordic ruin. Inside these ice-covered halls of old, a nearly unspeakable evil sits within, hiding from the world. And what first starts as an inconspicuous side quest turns into the most disturbing quest in all of Skyrim. I love to craft a story for my characters. Our story is about Huckwin, a Breton thief and alchemist caught smuggling stolen goods across the Skyrim border. Taken to be beheaded alongside Stormcloak infidels, a timely dragon attack changed his fate. Once he escaped the wreckage of Helgen, he headed off towards Riften, a town where someone of his ilk could make a living.
Come on, Brynjolf. What is it this time?
Patience, Blanchet. This is a rare opportunity. I wouldn't want you to get left out.
That's what you said about the wisp essence, and it turned
After a quick test to prove my skill as a thief, I head down into the Ratway, the sewer system beneath Riften and home of the Thieves Guild.
I'm telling you, this one is different.
After a bit of time of proving his worth to the guild, the barkeep of the Ragged Flagon has a quest for Huckwin.
I have a buyer with, shall we say, a very odd taste in literature, looking for some particular books. I'm told they're the ravings of a madman, a wizard named Arundel, and his peculiar cravings. It's said to be spread across 4 volumes and very hard to come by. My client is offering quite a reward for them, which I'd split with you. In his later years, Arundel moved into some ice caves known as Yngvild. He preferred the solitude in which to perform his experiments. He used to have a home in Dawnstar, and the people say he was doing unspeakable experiments on reanimation. Rituals only a necromancer would perform. After he made for Yngvild, he was never heard from again. Recently, a woman was found, naked and shivering along the road to Dawnstar. The only information the guard could get from her were tales of strange experiments, and Arundel scribbling in his journals.
A quick look through town, and not a sign of a burnt-down house, nor a mention of him from the residents of Dawnstar. Perhaps he was run out of town long ago, and the town would rather keep Arundel's actions lost to the fire and snow. Once outside of town, Huckwin donned his Thieves Guild armor, traversing the mountainous coastline, cresting over the rocks. He finally saw it. Yngvild, the remnants of an ancient Nord ruin, now having been swallowed by snow and the Sea of Ghost. Only the mighty arches of the top of the once great structure are now visible. The northern reaches are bitter cold and desolate. What would drive a man to live out here alone? Either way, he has a quest to accomplish. Whoever or whatever lurks inside this cave should never know Huckwin was here. He's a thief, not an assassin. Inside the entrance is a narrow canal that opens into the first chamber, where a skeleton lays face down in the snow. Remnants of the ancient Nord ruin litter throughout the chamber and halls, but this place is nothing more than a glorified cave. In the distance, the sound of snow crunching beneath the pacing of feet can be heard. A draugr, but it looks different. Oh, it's a female draugr. That's bizarre. As we wind through the icy corridors, more and more draugr patrol the snow-filled cave, and each one female. And down the hall, a translucent, feminine silhouette slowly walks back and forth. Huckwin clung to the shadows, passing unnoticed through the cave. One of the spirits loitered around a table, and on it rests a journal.
It seems the Cretans of Dawnstar are not quite as foolish as I had surmised. They found my experimentations, and needless to say, were not pleased with what they saw. No matter. My work can only flourish without the distractions of living amongst the unenlightened. I have found a cave off the north coast of Skyrim that will be more than sufficient for my continued studies. The ruins of Yngvild shall hold the materials I need to learn more about reanimating and enslaving the dead. On a personal note, I will miss the young maidens of Dawnstar. Such beauty was intoxication. I often found my thoughts wandering around them, imagining secret encounters between myself and one or two of the local girls.
After reading through his first journal, it's confirmed Arundel is practicing the dark art of necromancy and was driven from Dawnstar for his nefarious and heinous behavior. On top of the necromancy, his comments about the young maidens adds another layer of disgust. It paints the image of a deranged man who lurked around Dawnstar with eyes that lingered for too long on things that they probably never should have looked at in the first place. Throughout Yngvild, every single coffin has been exhumed and each former inhabitant a female. There are 2 male druggers in this entire cave that I could find, and they lay discarded in the snow, likely deemed useless to Arundel. The cave descends further and further down a large spiral where powerful Draugr march back and forth, ceaselessly guarding. After sneaking past the female guardians, another table sits in the distance with a candle flickering in the dark, illuminating another journal.
Day 8. I've established a temporary workstation in the cold caves. I have found multiple burial chambers within snow and ice. While in the first chamber, I exhumed a few test subjects, all female. I was stunned to find my mind wandering again to the women of Dawnstar as I examined my find. At first, I was slightly disturbed by my thoughts, but later, I find myself reevaluating. Day 9. The first trials went splendidly. Each subject was reanimated in a state of total complacency, bending to my every task and whim. I've ordered a few of my new servants to guard the island, while the rest will act as my personal entourage, standing by me at all times, watching over me while I sleep.
The picture being painted is becoming more and more clear, yet according to his journal, he hasn't fully acted on these twisted thoughts. As the cave winds, we see the remnants of this great ancient ruin. This place was likely a burial ground to honor the great battle matrons of old, and now they've been dug up from their graves and reanimated. Unfortunately, that may not be the worst part. The tunnel is full of bracing fortification, and in the distance, a table with supplies around it. I suspect each of these areas represents a place where Arundel made temporary camp while hacking his way through the snow-filled ruins. The journal entries take place sometimes weeks apart, representing the time it took him to delve deeper and deeper into this place.
Day 21, an intriguing development. Tonight my guards have brought me a trespasser they found near the cave. At first, I was understandably upset. Not only was I disturbed during one of my few moments alone with my favorite servant, but I recognized the trespasser as a milkmaiden from Dawnstar. She remembered me as well, and made bold claims that I had been lurking near her at all hours. What lies! True, I had taken notice of her on occasion. She was nowhere near the most noticeable of maidens in town. Her continued accusations, coupled with my fear of more uninvited guests, led me to conclude that she could never return to Dawnstar. My servants were quick to carry out my sentencing. Her body is here next to me as I write this. Funny, her eyes are still so full of life. Perhaps I'll try a new experiment tonight using fresher materials.
A few moments alone with my favorite servant. A haunting line that confirms all suspicions. Not only has Arundel been performing necromancy on the undead, he's been defiling them as well. And now he has fresh material available. Who knows what horrors could wait behind these iron doors? Through the doors is Yngvild's throne room. In the center, lit by fire, Arundel sits on a throne, accompanied by a female ghost. Next to him rests a peculiar soul gem atop a pedestal. Huckwin snuck through the hollow, snow-filled room past Arundel into his chambers. In his room, a ghost sleeps on the bed, and Arundel has placed red mountain flowers across the floor leading to the bed. What a sad and pathetic man, pretending to romance women that he has murdered, resurrected, enslaved, and now defiled. On a table in the room next to a stone of Berenzia rests his fourth and final journal.
Day 28. The new experiment has proven a success. The milkmaid, whose name still escapes me, was revived as the others, bowing to my commands, with only one interesting development. She is reformed incorporeally, more phantasm than reanimated dead. As her glowing visage stood before me, I found my hand reaching out to touch her. As my fingers passed through her, I felt a sensation unlike any other, as if her essence were invigorating my very soul, connecting with me on a level no woman of flesh and blood could do. This discovery is life-changing. Day 35. I had ordered my older servants to go out and find any more subjects that may have become lost. With the discovery of the inner sanctum deeper still within Yngvild, I shall have sufficient room to store many new materials until I can transform them into willing slaves. I look back on my daydreams whilst living in Donsar and wonder if they were in fact portents of time to come.
Now done with his Draugr slaves, he is using them to capture more victims. The inside of his chambers are scattered with various keepings of a necromancer, but most interestingly is the Grand Staff of Charming, likely the tool in which Arundel or his slaves used to lure and capture more victims. With all 4 journals recovered, Huckwin could sneak back out, leaving Arundel none the wiser, but that feels wrong. To leave this vile creature here hiding on his pretender's throne like a coward while he has the undead do his bidding would just be wrong. Huckwin is not a fighter or assassin. He knows potions and thievery. If he tries to kill Arundel, he may never leave this cave. He should plot deeper into the depths and see if he can find anything else to steal, or maybe an escape route before he makes up his mind whether he attempts to end Arundel's pathetic existence. Sneaking deeper into the sanctum, we stumble upon a room with an iron gate controlled by a lever. Inside, laying on the cold stone floor, are 3 women, the latest victims who have yet to be transformed. Likely manipulated by the Grand Staff of Charming and led here to their demise where they were locked away in a prison cell to die. Behind a locked door, a wooden staircase leads out of this forsaken place, but it doesn't feel right to let Arundel escape justice. He has now taken at least 10 victims in his time here at Yngvild. 7 different spirits haunted the icy corridors, and 3 women lying here on the cold hard floor, and countless Draugr up above. Now knowing where the exit is, Huckwin crept up behind to drive a dagger he barely knows how to use into Arundel's back. The gleaming soul gem to the left catches his eye, and he decides to pocket the soul gem just in case this fight goes south and he has to make a hasty escape. When the soul gem is removed from the pedestal, the air changes. Suddenly, the bonds of servitude from his ghost are broken and they attack. After a brief fight, Arundel lays dead on the snow-covered floor by the hands of his favorite servant. Perhaps this was the most fitting form of justice. Huck crept his way out of Yngvild, leaving the cold, frigid nightmare behind. And as he breathed in the cold air from the Sea of Ghosts, unsure whether he did the right thing by leaving the ghosts and Draugr, or maybe he should have lain them to a final rest. Regardless of the answer, he lacked the skill to take on Arundel's army of the undead anyhow. Back at the Ragged Flagon, I gave the 4 journals to Vekkel, and he rewarded me with a sanctified steel war axe, an enchanted axe that makes the undead flee. How ironic. Unfortunately, Vekkel has nothing to say about this whole ordeal. Even though it's clear now how he phrased the quest in the beginning, he knew exactly what Arundel was up to. To him, this is just a business transaction, nothing more, nothing less. After the journals were gone, Huck sat and thought, who would ever possibly want these writings? And it dawned on him. The only person who would ever want writings like this is no collector of fine literature, but most likely another necromancer who knew of Arondel's experiments and wanted notes or maybe just proof that his work was possible so they could replicate it themselves. And Huckwin just delivered proof of concept into a new monster's hands. So, with the story now done, the quest complete, I want to quickly break down some of the details of this quest. The past video I did about Frostflow Lighthouse, I kind of jumped in and out of narrative and analysis, and for this I thought it would be nice to tell the story and then break some things down. First, I will start by saying it is interesting that Bethesda even had a quest of such dark subject matter in Skyrim. I played Morrowind a few months back for really the first time, and one of the biggest things that stood out to me was how dark Morrowind could be at times thematically, and that the edge of these Elder Scrolls games has definitely been intentionally removed by Bethesda to appeal to a broader audience across the series. So Oblivion is dark but really quirky at times, and Skyrim is neither super dark and not that quirky. For Bethesda to include a quest tackling such a dark subject matter, just like Arundel, they hid it in a dark, icy cave on a secluded spot on the map that most players would likely never find. The fact that the journals span over the course of 35 days, but there's no burnt down house or any sign of his existence in Dawnstar is a bit disappointing. I suppose the counter argument to that, though, is that he could have written this 4th journal entry having reached a breakthrough with his experiments and just stopped recording anything else, and he may have been holed up in Yngvild for years. We'll never know. Well, I don't think this quest is nearly as strong as Frostflow Abyss from a writing standpoint or environmental design point. It is still light years above most of the miscellaneous quests in Skyrim. I will always praise developers who add stories that are only found by people who explore every inch of the map and take the time to just read. Just like Frostflow, if you run through Yngvild not knowing the context for what is happening in here, it legitimately could be the worst dungeon in the entire game. It is huge, full of insanely hard enemies, and there really isn't that much loot or reward for any of it. So if you had no idea what was actually going on there and you just went guns a-blazing through there, you'd be like, man, this place was way too hard for not much reward at all. I'd have to imagine they were limited by the setting and the story itself. He's a sociopathic necromancer on the run that took up residence in an ice cave. All of his personal effects were burnt in his house, and all he brought with him was what he cared about, his items to practice necromancy. So while it lacks some details that really help tell the story throughout the cave, at least it makes sense, and it leaves a lot up to the imagination, which could be good or bad. I think all the notes and storytelling do pay off though when you reach his chambers. The Grand Staff of Charming is an awesome detail to really tell you how they would lure women into Yngvild without necessarily killing them. I am aware in Skyrim it's just a calm spell, but in Oblivion all the Staffs of Charming would, well, actually charm someone and increase their disposition towards your character, so I have to imagine that was more of what they were getting at with this staff. Then finally, the cherry on top of all of it are the red mountain flowers on the floor. This could be perceived 2 ways, I think. He is truly so deranged that he really believes he's romancing these undead slaves, or maybe there is some tiny piece of him that knows what he's doing is just so wrong, and he feels immense loneliness, and the least he can do is show some semblance of romance towards his victims. Probably the most common option for completing this quest, I would imagine, is just to slaughter every enemy through here, but the little added touch of stealing the soul gem and breaking his bond over the slaves is undoubtedly the best approach. To watch his slaves break free and kill their captor is truly justice. In the end of it all, though, how this quest ended left such a sour taste in my mouth. Your character goes through a very dark, what would be traumatizing thing to see. I suppose just about everything in Skyrim would be kind of traumatizing. But at the end of it all, Veckel just says, thanks, here you go, here's your reward. How are you not going to let me talk to someone about what just happened? Truly, I think the darkest subject matter tackled in the entirety of the game, and there's no one to tell and no one to care. It just left me wanting more out of this quest, which is good and bad. I enjoyed it so much I wanted more, but I felt this quest deserved a bit more of a satisfying wrap-up with Veckel. All in all, Toying with the Dead is one of the most disturbing and creepy quests in all of Skyrim, but one of the best you will find as well. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, leave a suggestion on other quests I should cover in the Elder Scrolls series. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to be better about managing my time and put more videos out here as well. So, appreciate you guys. Peace.